Hey everybody, all two of you here. um, Sorry I seem a little I don't know, a little flighty. Hey Rob, but I hit my knee on my desk right before my intro song ended, and so it's still kind of stinging a little bit. Hey Kelly, um, so sorry for that kind of confusing entrance there. Um, Let's see. I think I'm going to go try to turn on my lights here. Hopefully, Brandon is going to be settled during this. Uh, Hopefully, I won't have to get up and down with him too much. So we got three in here now. I mean, I know who two of you are because you're chatting. I know Rob and Kelly are in here. Um, honestly, I was hoping to have a lot more people in here for this one. I guess I kind of overestimated or underestimated or something how many people are interested in the two Deborahs, Deborah Goodrich and Deborah Foreman. Well, now we got five in here. I say something and then more people come in. Uh, Sorry, I'm just eating a little candy there. But like I said last night, I was hoping that Uncle Bill would be in here tonight because I know Rob knows that Uncle Bill at least used to talk quite a bit about Deborah Foreman. Um, yes, Kelly, they were in April Fool's Day together, both Deborahs. And that's what got me thinking about doing this stream, actually. And thank you, by the way, for saying this will be a good one. I'm guessing that remains to be seen. Um, and I haven't had one of those dang fruit flies back here for a long time while I was doing something, and I just seen one of them flying around. I see them every once in a while now, but I think I figured out what the problem was. It was related to my guinea pigs. And I didn't get rid of the guinea pigs. I just have been trying to do a lot more cleaning of their enclosure. Hey, Texas. You say it's one of your comfort movies, one of the ones I can watch over and over. Yes, that is definitely a comfort movie for me as well because that's one I remember watching as a kid as well as some of the others I talked about last night. Um, my intention, and I think I overestimated how much time I would have to actually do this. My intention was to watch all the Deborah Foreman, Deborah Goodrich movies that I had not seen. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But I'll give you a brief, plot synopsis for for the films in case you're kind of interested in going back and watching them and trying to pick out Deborah Foreman or Deborah Goodrich in the films. Now, the one I did get most of the way through and was very disappointed that there was very little of Deborah Foreman in this movie. I expected her to be in it more. I think I saw a far away shot of her playing basketball or something, and that was it. And she had a name. I mean, her name was Cindy and everything. And I know I went through the last half of it a little quickly. But I still should, I didn't even see any scenes where she was talking to the main character or anything like that. Just the scene where she was playing basketball. Uh, so, Rob, you say I might be a little quieter tonight writing a paper about the Hurt Locker, so I'll be in and out. Oh, that's fine, Rob. That is perfectly fine. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I guess I'll talk about the career of Deborah Foreman first. And when I get to the point where Deborah Foreman and Deborah Goodrich intersect, of course, we'll have that big blowout and talk about April Fool's Day. So the movie, the first movie, I guess, full length movie that Deborah Foreman was in was a movie called I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can. And that was a hell of a way to like start Deborah Foreman's career because, like I said, she's in it very little. I was disappointed. I didn't even hear her talk in the movie. But for those of you that don't know, I'm just going to bring up IMDb here. I've got it up on my phone, but I thought I would just bring it up here. Um, Okay, so before I really get into the movies, let me talk just a little bit about Deborah Foreman. Let me see if she's got a. She was born in 1962 in Montebello, California, as Deborah Lynn Foreman. Her nickname is Peanut. She's only 5'5". And she won the prestigious Most Promising New Star Award from Show West in 1986 following her starring roles in the critically acclaimed Valley Girl, which I have seen. It's been a while. And the award-winning My Chauffeur from 1986. Subsequently, she had the lead, actually the two leads, in April Fool's Day from 1986, which continues to be a video favorite. She is a hardworking actress, equally at home with comedy and drama, who has earned her respect of colleagues and press alike. She has also been a successful model for Maybelline. I didn't realize that. Her father was a Marine Corps pilot, and her mother is an executive assistant. And she has one brother who is in the music industry. A little trivia about her or her family. Her father was a pilot and captain in the U.S. Marine Corps. So she and her family moved around quite a bit, born in California. She was actually raised in Arizona and Texas. She attended and graduated from Richardson High School in Richardson, Texas, class of 1980. Her family sent her to modeling school in Texas to overcome shyness. So she was a really shy girl. She later worked as a Maybelline model. She's a certified yoga instructor through Yoga Works. And if anybody heard Uncle Bill and CK talking about Deborah Foreman at one time, right before Deborah Foreman was supposed to be at a Fright Night convention, they mentioned that she was like, she had pretty much forgot about movies and like was really into yoga. She works as a graphic artist and also sells her own hand painted furniture. As of March 2011, she owned her own Pilates studio in West Hollywood, California, which she started 1 year previously. As of July 2009, she was working for Grace Anatomy Studio in Studio City, California, teaching stop Pilates and yoga. She designs jewelry at her store in Big Bear Lake, California. She dated writer and director Anthony Hickox during the making of Waxwork in 1988. She was asked to reprise her role for Wife's Work 2, Lost in Time. But she and Hickox had broken up prior to filming, so she declined the offer. For those of you wondering why she was not in the second Waxwork. Okay, so back to the movies that she was actually in. Like I said, the first movie that I did get to watch the majority of that she was in 1982 was I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, which is a true story about Emmy-winning documentary filmmaker Barbara Gordon's Valium addiction and her desperate attempts to kick the habit. Now, Jill Clayburgh is the big star in this, so she's the one that you actually see a lot of. Diane Weiss is also in this, Richard Mazur, Joe Pesci. There's a lot of, pretty big names in this movie. Daniel Stern's in it. But a lot of these people that I mentioned, including Deborah Foreman, don't show up until the last part of the film. So, a little bit, about my thoughts on the movie I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can. Hey, Blair. This was a shocking movie to me. It was rated R. When it premiered, I believe, on NBC in 1986, they cut out 10 minutes of it. The F word is used quite frequently in it. I was kind of shocked to hear Jill Clayburgh say the F word. But what I was most shocked about this movie, I didn't even know who Barbara Gordon was. Some of you in the chat may know. Texas, do you know who Barbara Gordon is, or Rob? But evidently she was big into making documentary films. But she evidently had a very severe Valium addiction, and made the mistake that a lot of people make when they realize that they're becoming too dependent on drugs of this type. They go off cold turkey, which I did that not with Valium, but I did it with Paxil, and it's not good. It is not pretty. So I can only imagine. I was only on Paxil a short time at that point in time. And when I took myself off cold turkey, I thought I was dying. I couldn't sit or lie still, couldn't sleep. I was sick at my stomach. But Barbara Gordon evidently, and this was based on her book that she wrote about it. She had been on Valium for many, many years, and she realized, hey, I'm taking too much of this stuff. I'm becoming too dependent on it. She just poured them down the sink, or put them in the toilet, flush them. And, her boyfriend seemed, okay, maybe a little neurotic and maybe drank a little too much at first, but he seemed okay. But when she took herself off the Valium and started having the effects, very severe effects. There's a scene where she has a seizure out on the beach. The boyfriend has went to get something else, and she's obviously not feeling well. She says her head's on fire. It's like she's itching and burning up. She's flushed. She's weak. He hands her 2 bottles of wine. She drops them and breaks them. He says, "It's okay. I'll go back and get some more wine." It's like this was the start of me being really irritated with the boyfriend because he just, it's obvious that she's in distress and he's just totally not paying attention or doesn't care or whatever. So after he leaves, she just falls down and has a very severe looking seizure. And the next scene is him driving and she's in the back seat. And later she asks him, shouldn't I go to a doctor? And he doesn't even bother to, to take her to a doctor. But things progressively get worse. She's getting worse and worse from the withdrawal. And instead of like, duh, this the boyfriend thinking, oh well, I really should take her somewhere. Um, he starts beating the shit out of her. He punches her in the face, throws her down on the bed, and then he ends up tying her to a chair. And she's not an insane person. She's having withdrawal from Valium, which he wanted her to go off of. And her psychiatrist advised her not to go off the Valium cold turkey. He told her that she needed to be taken off slowly, which is what a doctor will tell you with any kind of drug like that. Um, so, I mean, yeah, like she fought back. She scratched him in the face and stuff like that. But I mean, guys, he was beating the shit out of her and doing all kinds of terrible things and calling her a bitch and telling her she was a crazy bitch and all of that. And so she tricks him into calling her friends. And when they pick up the phone, she's screaming for help. And he hits her in the face again and then tries to act casual on the phone. And she's like screaming, help me, help me, help me, and he tells them she's doing some kind of primal scream therapy and all of that. And then when he gets off the phone, he's like, you betrayed me, you bitch. And then when her friends get there, he says, she's just completely insane. And they go in the room and find her face all beat up and she's tied to a chair. So, of course, they take her to a doctor. And then I'm not sure if it's like a mental health facility that they have her go to. It seems like it is, slash like drug rehab. And so she gets through that tough time and all that. But this was a more shocking film than I realized that it was going to be. And the fact that I only saw one shot of Deborah Foreman from way far away with her playing basketball with Jill Claiborne in one of the scenes. Um, Rob, you say Batgirl, LOL, and Texas says yes. I was going to say the same thing, Robert. So, Rob, you were on Paxil for years, awful stuff to kid. Yeah, I've said that I never want to go back on that stuff ever again. Um, because I think that the side effects far outweigh any benefits, at least for me, that I could get from Paxil. Kelly, you said Paxil is terrible to wean off of, really hard to do. Yeah, I spent most of a day or most of an afternoon vomiting. So, Rob, you took it for anxiety for about 15 plus years. It's super linked to Alzheimer's, bad stuff. Well, so I'm definitely glad that I got off that stuff. Kelly, you say it really does cause seizures when stopped abruptly. Yeah, basically, not only Valium, which was portrayed in this movie, but, some of these other so-called mental health drugs can. They really can. And Kelly said, my friend took it for anxiety and it made her into a different person, made her really terrible to be around. So basically, Jill Clerburn's character in the movie basically goes to being hopelessly addicted to this stuff and dependent on the Valium. And it seems like everybody in the movie, almost, with the exception of the boyfriend who drinks too much, is taking Valium. And I'm sure there was a time period when Valium was a drug that was, handed out like candy, because her boss or whatever, played by Richard Mazur, he sees, her prescription bottle of Valium. He's like, oh, my Valium, I need one. And it's like, what the hell? Are all these people addicted to this stuff? And a lot of that stuff, because it messes with your brain chemicals and stuff like that, could make you into a different person. In some cases, like you said, Kelly, make somebody really terrible to be around. So, in my eyes, that's not helping. That's not even a band-aid. That's just you're either drugged out of your mind, or it's like Kelly said, you become a terrible person to be around, or you try to go off of it after being dependent on it so long. You have these terrible, terrible side effects. So, Wes, are you being facetious? Are you, I mean, like, has Uncle Bill completely decided he doesn't like Deborah Foreman anymore? Um, you say she's kind of a cunt. I don't know. When I met her, I don't know if Uncle Bill went up to her that time, but when I met her, she was really sweet. I mainly went up to her to get something signed for somebody else, but I did get a picture with her. Um, and I don't know. I thought she was lovely. I didn't think she didn't treat me bad, didn't act like I was wasting her time. I mean, that's basically the most I could ask of anybody. Kelly, you say once she got off of it, she was her old great self again. Yeah, it's kind of scary how these different chemicals can affect you um, in such kind of bizarre ways. And again, on that note, Wes, that's why I was hoping that, excuse me, that Uncle Bill would be on here with me. Because I thought he still, kind of liked Deborah Foreman, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hates her. Robbie said Wes is being ornery today. He certainly is. Yeah, I know, because y'all kind of made fun of her for that. It's like you say we tried to get her to do an interview and she said she was focusing her life on yoga now. Well, evidently she's, made like a second career out of it. I mean, I'm not saying y'all are wrong for being aggravated with her, but I think maybe the word cunt is a little bit of a strong word to use. Kelly, you say, I don't know anything about her. Why don't you guys like Deborah Foreman? Well, evidently, Wes doesn't like her because she wanted to focus her life on yoga and not do an interview with them, I guess. Okay. So I'll get off the I'm dancing as fast as I can movie. And we'll move on here to a TV movie that Deborah Foreman was in 1982 called In the Custody of Strangers. It was a made for TV movie. And it does have both Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez on it. So there's been more than one movie that has had Martin Sheen and his son Emilio Estevez in it. So this movie is about a teenage delinquent who goes on a drunken joyride and is left in jail overnight by his parents in the hope that he might learn a lesson from it. And so who does Deborah Foreman play in this? And this might have been a movie that I saw, a long time ago. She's not even really, well, I guess she's kind of first billed. She plays a character named Karen in the movie. But there's not really a whole lot of extra information about her or her character in the movie. I mean, she could be a friend. We just really don't know. But I would suspect that this movie was one of those, I don't want to say preachy movies, but there were a lot of those on TV at that time that kind of tried to teach everybody a lesson, not just young people, but it's like if you play, you got to pay, sort of thing. And so I think this was one of those. And I suspect, again, that Deborah Foreman was more than likely a background character. The big names in this, Martin Sheen, Emilio Estevez, all of that, all of those people, they're the ones you're going to remember from movies like this. Jane Alexander is also in this. Ed Lauder, Kenneth McMillan. I mean, those are the names that's really going to jump out at people, I think. There is also a Ramon Estevez. And Wes actually says Ramon Estevez is a lot cooler name than fucking Martin Sheen. Yeah, I'm not sure. Charlie evidently wanted to take the Sheen name too. But Emilio kept it, and Renee kept it. I guess they weren't too worried about keeping the Estevez name alive. Wes says he learned the word cunt from his buddy Tony. Hallie, you say, yeah, I always wonder why he changed it. It's catchy. What did she say? Joe and Emilio are the cool ones. Oh, good Lord. I think Wes just like saying that word now. I don't think Renee Estevez is that. Okay. So I'm going to move right along to the next movie that Deborah Foreman was in. And that is, oh, I'm going to close that out there. Okay. Is she was actually on some TV, but I'm mainly talking about the movies, which brings us up to 1983 with Valley Girl, which is a movie I have seen. It's been a while since I watched Valley Girl. It came out in 1983. I had actually forgotten that it was rated R. So, basic story of Valley Girl is Julie, a girl from the valley, meets Randy, a punk from the city. They're from different worlds and find love. You know, we've seen that a lot of times in these 80s movies, especially John Hughes types of movies. Somehow they need to stay together in spite of her trendy, shallow friends. And it also has Nicolas Cage in it and Elizabeth Daily. Um, but this is actually a starring role for Deborah Foreman. This probably started her starring roles. I remember liking Valley Girl, and I do have a DVD of it. I don't have anything other than a DVD, but I really want to, pull this one back out and watch it. Colleen Camp is also in it. Frederick Forrest. Um, see if there's any. Joyce Heiser is in Valley Girl. I'd forgotten about that. Joyce Heiser is also in just one of the guys. Stephen Bauer. So we're starting to get into more familiar Deborah Foreman movies. Um, Frederick Forrest is overrated. I'm with Rob tonight, Wes. I think you're just being honored. Uh, yes, I know. E.G. Daily. Yes, Wes is also being sassy today, Kelly. I agree. Uh, Repo Man for life, Rob says. We we put both legs in his. Wes put both legs in his sassy pants this morning. Hey, she also went by Elizabeth Daily too, Wes. Early in her career, she went by Elizabeth Daily, okay? So cut me some slack. So again, I really recall liking Valley Girl. I do want to rewatch it again. Um, how many of you guys out there have seen Valley Girl? You guys might not want to admit to watching Valley Girl. Is that what she says, Wes, or are you just making that shit up? I knew it was E.G. Daily when I said Elizabeth Daily, but that's how they have her listed on IMDb for the movie Valley Girl. So that's what I'm going to say. Rob, you say I watched it a ton on HBO as a kid. I'm glad to see Rob's not afraid, being a guy that he is singing. Kelly, you say I've seen it a lot. It was a teen staple movie. Yes. Wes, you say Forrest's performance in Lassie 1994 was unbelievable. The overacting piece of shit. Jeez Louise, you're shitting all over everybody tonight, Wes. I like Frederick Forrest, to be honest. Although I didn't see Lassie from '94, though. Um, so back to the the movies of Deborah Foreman. She was actually in Grizzly 2, Revenge. And Wes is probably going to say that's probably a piece of shit movie, but Laura Dern is in this, Charlie Sheen, George Clooney. A lot of, you know, what I consider big names in this. So basically, all hell breaks loose when a giant grizzly, reacting to the slaughter of grizzlies by poachers, attacks at a massive big band rock concert in the national park. Who would think that having a rock concert in a national park would be a good idea? But Deborah Foreman plays Chrissy Hollister in this. But like I said, George Clooney, Laura Dern, Charlie Sheen, Louise Fletcher. Um, let's see who else is in this. Charles Cyphers, believe it or not. So Grizzly 2, unfortunately, but I'm kind of even more intrigued and want to watch it now. I know it's probably bad, but I like the original Grizzly. And so I wouldn't mind, watching Grizzly 2. Um, Anybody out there seen Grizzly 2? Wes says he loves Grizzly 2. I'm kind of shocked. Anybody else out there seen Grizzly 2? Want to give some insight into it? Well, you guys go ahead and if you have seen Grizzly 2 and you want to comment on it, feel free. I'm going to go on up this list. The next movie is Real Genius, which I think Steve either got on Blu-ray or 4K recently. He really seems to like it. It's got Val Kilmer in it. But Deborah Foreman is also in this. But Val Kilmer, Ed Lauder again is in this movie. William Atherton. But again, I don't see Deborah Foreman's name like really far up there. So again, I would suspect she's a background character. This movie is a comedy, romance, sci-fi movie. So an uptight teenage prodigy enters a top engineering college, but feels awkward among the freewheeling students. When a professor aims to turn their laser project into a military weapon, he and his offbeat roommate plot to ruin the plan. And Neil Israel did the story, as well as Pat Proft and PJ Torokve did the screenplay. Martha Coolidge directed this. And Deborah Foreman plays a character called named Susan Decker. But like I said, she was not, it doesn't look like she was top billed in Real Genius. And following that was My Chauffeur, which I'm thinking she had a much bigger part in this because I see her in the trailer. It looks like she's on the poster. And this is a movie that I've heard of, but I don't believe I've ever seen. It's about a free spirited young woman played by Deborah Foreman who upsets the status quo with a stuffy Brentwood limousine service. And this really sounds like a movie I would like. So I'm really considering checking this one out. She plays Casey Meadows in this movie. Um, Howard Hessman's in this, E.G. Marshall. Trying to see if there were other recognizable names, but yeah, I can definitely see myself checking this one out. This one seems to be right up my alley. Sorry, guys, my throat's kind of still bothering me. Okay. So, Rob, you haven't seen Grizzly 2, but now you need to. Yes, Chuck Sheen or Charlie Sheen was in that, Blair. And Rob says he was. Texas said Dana Blissful loves my chauffeur. Yeah, I don't know how that one ever flew under my radar. Like I said, that one seems to be like right up my alley. It definitely seems like my type of movie. So we're going to go back to Deborah Foreman's list of movies here. And then I believe this might have been. No, actually, this was not like a TV movie. This one is another one that I'm really intrigued by and want to see it. 315, The Moment of Truth, from 1986. The Cobras, a vicious street gang, rule an embattled high school with their violent brand of terror, but they're headed for a showdown when an ex-gang member gone good challenges their brutal reign. And I don't believe I've ever seen this movie. But again, this seems like one that would be right up my alley. And it looks like Deborah Foreman has a big part in this one as well as the character Sherry Haviland. Let's see if there's any other really recognizable names in here. Ed Lauder's in this one again. Mario Van Peebles. And it's directed by Larry Gross. So again, this one seems to be right up my alley as well. And I'm planning on seeking that one out as well. So has anybody seen 315, The Moment of Truth? Okay. Nobody's saying anything just yet. Which brings us to the intersection of the two Deborahs with April Fool's Day from 1986. This one's directed by Fred Walton. Who, does anybody know another movie that Fred Walton did? A little hint, it's been one that I've talked about several times on streams. Rob, you got a guess? Wes? Texas? Hey, y'all gonna make me tell you, aren't you? It's too bad TJ's not in here. I bet he would know. So Rob gets a pass because Rob is daggone Rob, you got it. When a stranger calls. That is exactly right. Kelly. Rob was quick on the draw there, Kelly. It was When a Stranger Calls, which is a movie I would totally recommend if you haven't seen it. So basic plot for April Fool's Day. I don't think you guys really need it, but I'll give it anyway. 9 college students staying at a friend's remote island mansion begin to fall victim to an unseen murder over the April Fool's Day weekend. But nothing is as it seems. And, something that struck me about this movie the first time I rented it, and I don't know how I did not see this very prominent image when you really look at it, that was on the original cover art for the VHS and also on the post art, is the girl with the knife behind her back standing up in front of everybody else that is featured in the movie. If you look at her braided hair, it is in the shape of a noose. Did anybody else notice that? Yes, you love that movie too, Kelly. I think me and you, Kelly, seem to be on the same page with a lot of these movies. Yes, check the children. Exactly. I don't, it's a good thing I never watched this back when I was babysitting kids, especially when I was babysitting them at night, because that would have freaked me out. Robbie said yes, great poster. Um, so this, as Kelly said, for me, it is also a comfort movie, and a nostalgia movie, and all of that. Deborah Foreman plays both Muffy and Buffy in this movie. And I don't want to give too much of the twist away because there may be people in here now that maybe aren't chatting. I'm pretty sure all of you guys that are chatting have seen April Fool's Day. Um, but in case there's anybody just watching and not chatting, or somebody that watches this later and hasn't seen April Fool's Day, I don't want to ruin it for them. So I'm not really going to give away the twist. Like I said, you guys that are actually chatting in here, I'm pretty sure that all of you have seen April Fool's Day. And Kelly say, "Yeah, I had the VHS cover pinned up on my wall." LOL. You say, "Me either. I wouldn't have babysat ever." um. So yeah, that definitely, seeing When a Stranger Calls, and I know we're not talking about When a Stranger Calls tonight, but I had to bring that up when I was remembering Fred Walton. Um, yeah, I don't think anybody probably would have babysat, or babysitting would have given them pause after watching that movie. Hey, Robert Long, you say it comes on Cinemax quite a bit. I haven't watched things really on Cinemax for a long time. For a really long time. I used to watch a lot of, cable and satellite stuff, but that was before I got older and had so much access to movies, and now we have access to streaming services. Me and Steve combined have so many movies. It's very, very difficult to even, think about what could be on, these other channels. I mean, I think Steve finds a way to, watch some of these news series that are out. I'm like, I don't know how to keep it straight because there's so many of them out there. But April Fool's Day, in my opinion, is a great movie with a great twist. Um, and if you've read the book, the novelization, it has a couple, a few extra, well, at least one extra twist in it, um, that adds a little more horror to the story. I don't know how many of you have read the novelization, April Fool's Day, but I found it in a used bookstore many moons ago. And I've read it more than once just because I love that some of it follows closely to the movie, and but then it goes way, it comes way out of left field, and you're like, oh wow, that wasn't in the movie. And so it makes it quite a bit enjoyable for me. So I'll wait a few years and then reread the novelization sometimes. And if you if you can get your hands on a copy of it, I highly recommend reading it. It is a very enjoyable read. It won't take you very long to get through the book. Um, I mean, I'm not saying it's like a teeny bopper or young adult novel. It's not. It's obviously an adult novel, but it's so fast paced, and the characters are interesting just like they are in the movie and stuff. And so it makes the reading go really quickly. So moving right along, well, hold on, I'll talk a little bit about some of the other people that are in April Fool's Day real quick here. So we not only do we have Deborah Foreman, we have Griffin O'Neill, Clayton Ronner, or Roner, however you want to pronounce it, Jay Baker, uh, Deborah Goodrich, who I'm also going to be talking about tonight, Leah Pinsent, Amy Steele, Ken Olant, and Tom Wilson, going under the name Thomas F. Wilson. Um, So then moving on, Deborah Foreman was in another television, made for television movie in 1986 called Maggie. No, she does not play Maggie, but again, I think she must play like a background character called Elise Farnsworth. So this movie concerns following the death of her husband, Maggie Webb finds herself left with numerous debts and back taxes. Her wealthy sister in law, Diane, hires her uh, to run a London based run her London based PR firm. So Stephanie Powers plays Maggie Webb. Ava Gardner's in this. Paul Jeffrey, Barry Corbin, of course, Deborah Foreman, Allie Mills, who you guys will probably remember from the Wonder Years as the mom. Um, that one sounds kind of intriguing, not quite as intriguing as some of these movies I'm talking about. Um, Also, this was another movie from '88, Destroyer. And I'm pretty dang sure that me and Steve have watched Destroyer, but it's been a while. She also starred with Clayton Ronner in this one as well. So this is about a prison riot breaks out at the moment of a serial murder's execution by electrocution. 18 months later, a team of filmmakers converge on the prison to film a women in prison exploitation flick. Um, I remembered enjoying this one. It's not like a great piece of cinema or anything, but it is enjoyable. And if I remember correctly, Deborah Foreman has a pretty big part. I mean, she's basically top billed here. She plays Susan Malone. Clayton Ronner plays David Harris. Lyle Alzado is on this. Anthony Perkins is on this as Robert Edwards. Let's see. If there's anybody else? Not really. But this one was one that I remember enjoying. I can't really remember what Steve thought about it actually, but I remember liking it. Which brings us to the next film of 1988, which was Waxwork. I like Waxwork, and I know a lot of you guys like Waxwork as well. This was directed by Anthony Hickox, and like we said earlier, Deborah Foreman was dating him when this movie was being made. This also has Zach Galligan, um, David Warner, Dana Ashbrook's in it, Miles O'Keefe, and so this is basically about a wax museum owner uses his horror exhibits to unleash evil on the world. So I remember Waxwork being a really fun and entertaining movie, as well as being a pretty decent horror flick. Kelly, you say, I think some of my favorite horror movies are the ones with a group of friends that gather and stuff gets crazy. April Fool's Day, Evil Dead, Demon Night, etc. I love friend group dynamics in film. Me too. I think having that dynamic in them also makes them a source of comfort as well. So, moving right along in Deborah Foreman's filmography here is a PG-13 film called The Experts from 1989. I don't think I've seen this one either, but I'd kind of like to. John Travolta is also on this, as well as Kelly Preston, who John Travolta was married to before she sadly passed away from cancer, I believe. But this is about two New York City guys get jobs starting a nightclub in small town USA. They don't know it's a spy training model town in the USSR. So this one sounds intriguing to me as well. But like I said, John Travolta's in it, Kelly Preston's in it, Deborah Foreman plays a character named Jill. Charles Martin Smith, Brian Doyle Murray, Rick the Common, or yeah, I can never really pronounce that guy's last name. I think he has since passed away, but he was also in The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Yeah, I think I'm going to be trying to search that one out as well. Which brings us to another, looks like a wacky film from '89 called Lobster Man from Mars. It's only PG. And this one stars Anthony Hickox and Deborah Foreman, so they must have still been dating at the time. This is a comedy, horror, sci-fi. A movie mogul in search of a tax shelter screens a space parody about a young woman, a mad scientist, and a space monster. So I might like to check this one out too, even though I know it's probably going to be bad. Let's see who's in this one. Tony Curtis is in it. Anthony Hickox plays John. Deborah Foreman plays Mary. But yeah, I could see myself. I could see myself sitting down watching that. I mean, heck, it's only an hour and 22 minutes long. Which brings us to, I believe, a movie that maybe Bruce Campbell's in, from 1989. She was in quite a few films in 88 and 89. But this one is Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. And I may have seen this, but it has been a long while. So Bruce Campbell is in this, as well as David Carradine. This is a comedy horror western about reclusive vampires lounge in a lonely American town. They wear sun cream to protect themselves. A descendant of Van Helsing arrives with hilarious consequences. And Deborah Foreman plays Sandy in this. Like I said, David Carradine's in this. Bruce Campbell plays Van Helsing. Maxwell Caulfield is also in it. M. Emmett Walsh and Dana Ashbrook again. Sunshine Parker. So yeah, I'd like to revisit that one because it's been a while. Which brings us to another 1989 film, Friends, Lovers, and Lunatics. And actually, Deborah Foreman was in two movies that had lunatics in the title. This one is rated R, not very long, about an hour and 27 minutes long. It's about an artist fired from his job, comes home and discovers his wife is having an affair and that she is leaving with her lover. He then sets off in pursuit of them, but in the process runs into another woman who is on the run from her crazed lover, who is chasing her as much to get his stolen motorcycle back as he is to actually find her. And Deborah Foreman plays Annie in this movie. So let's see here. Daniel Stern's in this. Deborah Foreman, like I said, of course. But I don't really recognize some of these other names. But I might want to check that one out as well, just because it seems just a little quirky to me. Which then brings us to the other movie with lunatics in the title from 1991. And I have seen this one because it pretty much stars Ted Raimi. And that's why I watched it. I'll be honest, I didn't watch it for Deborah Foreman, but she is in it. It is directed by Sam Raimi's buddy Josh Becker, who makes really good films. Scott Spiegel, another buddy, also makes really wacky and entertaining films. But this is about a delusional and paranoid poet hallucinates and almost becomes a serial killer, but saves a beautiful girl from street gang members and becomes a hero. And if I'm remembering correctly, Deborah Foreman is the beautiful girl in the story. So Ted Raimi, of course, plays Hank. He's not under Ted Raimi in the cast, but he's billed as Theodore Raimi. Bruce Campbell's also in this as Ray. Deborah Foreman plays Nancy. Let's see. Anybody else? Not really. Okay. So I definitely could recommend Lunatics: A Love Story because although not it's not going to set the world on fire as a really great movie. It is a fun and wacky movie. Um, so I'm taking it that probably not a lot of you have seen some of these movies that I'm mentioning because nobody's really talking about them now. Um, so next in 2008, so that was quite a jump, is a movie called Beautiful Loser. Um, it's about a boy. His parents named him Reginald. His friends call him Ditto. At the age of 11, he decided he wasn't going to do anything with his life, and that was going pretty well until senior year when he saw Tracy. This wasn't so much love at first sight as much as it was completely head over heels, going to get her at any price, even if I make a complete fool of myself. Love at first sight, and it would burn for decades, whether she loved him or not. And this basically, it sounds intriguing to me. I'm not familiar with the director and or writer John Nolte, um, but it does intrigue me. Just that plot synopsis does intrigue me. So Keith David, not David Keith, but Keith David is in this. Um, Cynthia Gibb. And Taylor Dane is in this as well. And Deborah Foreman plays Carly. But I'm thinking about seeking that one out just because it seems intriguing to me. Which brings us pretty much up to date with the 2020 um, Valley Girl. Um, and this is basically a comedy musical romance. So, a pair of young lovers from different backgrounds defy their parents and friends to stay together, set to a new wave 80s soundtrack. It's a musical adaptation of the 1983 film. And I don't know how good this would be. It could go either way. I don't know if there are any of you guys out there in the chat that have seen this. But like I said, Deborah Foreman plays Shop Girl in it. So no longer is she going to be playing the Valley Girl. She's going to be playing a totally different character. And I'm looking at these names and I'm not really seeing any names that jump out at me as noticeable names or names that I know anyway. I guess I could look and see. This only got a 5.5 out of 10 though. I will warn you there. So, um I am not real sure, Kelly. I assumed it was. Um, I'm ashamed to say I don't even know what Taylor Dane looks like. Actually, uh, so is Taylor Dane? Are they blonde? Let me see. Let me just click on her and well, basically what it says, Taylor Dane was born on March 7th, 1962 in Baldwin, Long Island, New York, USA. She's an actress and composer known for Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, Fried Green Tomatoes, and the Lizzie McGuire movie. There is Taylor Dane Unstoppable. That's a music video. There's a whole bunch of music videos. So that might be the Taylor Dane then. Texas, you say Blissful watched it, I think. She liked it, but I'm always skeptical of remakes that are musicals. Yeah, me too. Um, Kelly, you say, yes, she's a blonde singer that sang Tell It to My Heart. Oh, okay. That was, yeah. Oh, you say, oh, not the same one. I thought that was weird that Taylor Dane, the singer, was in the movie, right? So we got two different Taylor Danes. So that brings us to the films of Deborah Goodrich, which Deborah Goodrich kind of ended her film career quite a bit earlier than Deborah Foreman. And now Deborah Goodrich is a writer. So she graduated from Lake Erie College in 1980 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in modern foreign languages, French and Italian literature and history. She has spent her career in the arts, first as an actress in film and television, then as a story editor at Miramax Films, chosen as a recipient of the Sesquicentennial, sorry for massacring that word, Fellow Award at Lake Erie College in Painesville, Ohio. So let's talk a little bit about the movies that Deborah Goodrich was in. Let's see. So the first movie that Deborah Goodrich was in was a movie in 1980 called Those Lips, Those Eyes, a comedy romance. It's about a stage-struck adolescent that learns about love the hard way while interning in Cleveland summer stock during the early 50s. Now, this one kind of intrigues me too. Makes me think I would want to watch this. So, Frank Langella, Glennis O'Connor, Jerry Stiller, Kevin McCarthy. It's got quite a few big names in it. Randy Stump from the guy that tries to rape the girl during the Christmas party on Silent Night, Deadly Night, and gets taken out by Billy. So I'm kind of intrigued by that one. She plays a dancer and she's billed as Deborah H. Goodrich. She did also play, I'm not going to talk in depth about like her TV stuff, but she did play a character, Silver Kane, on All My Children, which must have been maybe Erica Kane's sister or something, or one of her relatives. She was in '84, she was in a made for TV movie called Old Friends, which is a comedy romance. Jerry Forbes is a big time lawyer who gets divorced and gives up his position at a New York City firm to move back to his hometown of Columbia, Ohio. There he struggles to raise his son, 15-year-old Mark, while helping his father Phil keep the family drugstore afloat. Meanwhile, he meets Laura, his old high school flame, who's now a local disc jockey. The two rekindle their relationship despite the fact that she's married to Charlie, Jerry's old pal, who is now the high school football coach. This kind of sounds like Lifetime like stuff, but maybe it would be better than that. But Christopher Lloyd's on it, Jennifer Salt. Deborah Goodrich plays Susan King in this. So she doesn't play like the main love interest or anything like that. John Randolph's also in this. This is a pretty small cast, it seems. This one might be slightly interesting. I might pick that one out and watch it at some point. She was on quite a few TV series: The A-Team, Hotel, Three's a Crowd, the new Mike Hammer, Edge of Night. Like I said, all my children. Peyton Place, The Next Generation. But in 1985, she played a character named Deborah in Just One of the Guys, which is one of my favorite movies from the 80s. It's only PG-13, but for you guys that want to see a gal's boobage, then you will definitely see it here. Joyce Heiser stars in this one. Clayton Ronner is also in this. Billy Jane or Billy Jacoby. This was actually directed by a woman, Lisa Gottlieb. So Terry, Joyce Heiser's character, feels discriminated against when the summer jobs at the Sun Tribune go to two guys. She decides to do something about it. She dresses like a guy and gets a haircut. Will students at the other high school notice? Girls notice him. I think this one is really funny, and I like the tagline for it. It has Joyce Heiser with the short hair standing in the boys' locker room using two football helmets to cover her boobs. It says, Terry Griffith is about to go where no woman has gone before. And come on, how many of you gals out there would have liked to have been in the boys' locker room when you were in school? Kelly said, love that movie. I always did too. And this is another one I need to go back and rewatch again here soon. But Joyce Heiser, Clayton Ronner, Billy Jane or Billy Jacoby, Tony Hudson, William Zabka playing another bad character. And I don't mean like his acting was bad, but a bully character. Sherilyn Fenn, like I said, Deborah Goodrich, of course, playing Deborah. Stu Charno. Let's see. Yeah, really fun and entertaining movie, and really a slice of 80s filmmaking history, in my opinion, if you've never seen it. So then in 1986, she played Nikki in April Fool's Day alongside, who did we talk about earlier? Deborah Foreman. She was also in 86, she was also in The Deliberate Stranger with Mark Harmon playing the Ted Bundy character. She plays Martha Chambers in The Deliberate Stranger. Deliberate Stranger is a really good miniseries based on Ted Bundy. And it was also based on a book. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, the newspaper guy that wrote that, who befriended Ted Bundy. At one time. Richard Larson, that was the actual news guy that ended up, or newspaper guy that actually wrote the book. Then in 1987, she was in Survival Game. This is one that might be one that I want to put on my list to watch. Um, Double crossed by both the gangsters and the police, Michael must use his martial arts talent to rescue his girlfriend's dad. This was directed by Herb Fried, who, for some reason, I want to say he did Graduation Day. Yes, he did. He was the director of Graduation Day. Um, he also did Haunts, Dead Punks, Paradise Lost from 99. So, yeah, I'm getting kind of off of Deborah Goodrich there. But Deborah Goodrich plays a character called CJ Forrest in this. Um, so I'm thinking about seeking this one out as well. So then moving right along is in 1988, she was in Remote Control playing a character named Belinda. So Remote Control, I believe, is one that I've heard about for a while but have not seen it. It's a comedy, romance, sci-fi. A video store clerk stumbles onto an alien plot to take over Earth by brainwashing people with a bad 50s science fiction movie. Yeah, this one sounds like it's right up my alley. And this one's directed by Jeff Lieberman. He and his friend must find a way to stop the aliens before the tapes can be distributed worldwide. So it looks like Deborah Foreman has a pretty big part in this one. Kevin Dillon is also in this, Jennifer Tilly. Um, and Gerald Pearson. I believe yes, he's the guy that played Barney in Evil Laugh. So, yeah, definitely I got to watch this now. Um, Dick Warlock, the stuntman, plays Mr. James. He is billed as Richard Warlock. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be one that I want to seek out. So that brings us to another TV movie, the Liberace TV movie from 1988. She plays Joanne in the movie. And of course, this is the story of the famous pianist and entertainer Liberace. Um, Andrew Robinson actually plays Liberace in this. That's an interesting turn for him, I think. And Rue McClanahan from the Golden Girls plays Frances Liberace. So I was never a big Liberace fan, but seeing as Andrew Robinson plays him in this, I might be intrigued enough to check that out. I think I remember when that came on television. So then she was in a few more TV series, 21 Jump Street, Day by Day, Alien Nation. Anybody remember Alien Nation? Um, so I'm thinking maybe The Ladies on Sweet Street is another like television show from 1990. Has Doris Roberts in it. Oh, it's a failed series pilot, so it never really took off. About two older ladies who take up sleuthing as a new pastime. So that explains why um, we really never heard about that. But Deborah Goodrich plays Kitty Stone in that. a very short-lived show. Um, then she was on Beverly Hills 90210 as the character of Sandy, and her last film, according to IMDb, was Out on a Limb, where she played a character called or named Jenny. This was starring Matthew Broderick. And believe it or not, I love Matthew Broderick films. You know, I'm a big Ferris Bueller fan. Um, but a financial whiz takes a wild detour to come to the aid of his kid sister in the small logging town of Buzzsaw. But I think I would want to, you know, even though this only got a 5.3, I think I would like to check it out. So Matthew Broderick, Jeffrey Jones, John C. Riley. So it's got, you know, quite a few big names in it. But again, I don't think that this is like a huge role for Deborah Goodrich, but it is her um, last reported film as far as IMDb is concerned. A little more trivia, useless trivia here. She was born May 11th, 1958 in New York. Um, she was she's been married to Charles M. Roy since 2002. She was previously married to Pliny Porter from 1986 to they IMDb's not sure. She's divorced from him and has two children. Pliny Porter is an international motion picture and television executive producer, writer, and production consultant. Um, the name just didn't sound familiar to me. Um, she's friends with Julia Roberts and was a bridesmaid at her wedding to Lyle Lovett in 1993. She serves on the board of the Hunter Foundation and the Avon Theater Film Center, an independent cinema in Stanford that she and her husband restored and reopened. Um, She serves on the board of directors of Literacy Volunteers of Stanford and Greenwich, Connecticut, where she also teaches writing to adult English as a second language students. That's interesting. The combination of the birth of her first daughter and the 1988 writer's strike put an enormous damper on Goodrich's career. In 91, first husband Pliny Porter got a job in France, so the family went along, and she took a job as a reader at Studio Canal, giving input on English language scripts. When the family returned to the USA in 1993, Goodrich was offered a job in script development at Miramax, which she did for the rest of the decade. And like I said, she is a published writer now. I'm trying to remember. I'm her friend on Facebook, so it's awful that I'm forgetting the title of her book, but I did see posts about it. So let's see. Rob, you say Kelly lived in the boys' locker room. Her locker was in the boys' locker room. Texas, you say that's another one of Blissful's favorites. Yeah, I really need to revisit that one again. Kelly, you say we could smell the boys' locker room from the hall. We avoided it at all times. LOL. Always smelled like tacos. I don't even want to know. Do you guys? Oh boy. Okay. So I've been talking about an hour and 32 minutes about the life and career of both Deborah Foreman and Deborah Goodrich. I'm hoping that me talking about some of the movies that both of these ladies have done will maybe intrigue you like it did me and make me want to actually seek these out. I I really don't envision myself going back and watching that I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, mainly because it was a little disturbing to me. Well, quite a bit disturbing to me. And I don't, I didn't know that it was going to have the boyfriend beating the shit out of her and stuff like that. He was a crazy ass. He's the one that should have been in a mental health facility, I think. But, and like I said, plus the fact that Deborah Foreman was hardly in it at all. So if you're watching it for Deborah to see Deborah Foreman, you're not going to get much out of it. Kelly, you say I'll rewatch some now that I've been reminded. Yeah, that's kind of what it does for me too. It's like, oh yeah, I have that movie, or I haven't watched that movie in a while. But then there were also some that I had not seen that I would definitely want to at least take a cursory look at. And I thought there was a release of The Destroyer, which I would actually consider buying, believe it or not. I was going to see if Amazon had it. Steve probably would want to kill me for, wanting to get it on Blu-ray or something. Let's see. I don't think that's the one I'm wanting. Maybe there ain't no. Ah, there it is. Oh, holy crap. That was one of those double features with Age of Sandy, which also has Anthony Perkins on it. They're wanting like $59.95 for that. And used, they're wanting $49 and something. Man, should have bought that when it first come out. And of course, that's a Shout Factory or Scream Factory release. But perhaps I'll be able to find it cheaper somewhere else. And who knows, Steve might have it. I don't know. I was thinking when we watched it off his hard drive or something. Does anybody have that double feature with Destroyer and Age of Sandy on it? But we still got 10 people in here, but I think instead of blabbing on forever and ever and ever, I think I'm getting ready to call it a night here. There's a few things I got to do before I lay down, but I really want to thank all of you guys for being in here in the chat, or for those of you that weren't necessarily chatting, but you were watching along. I really appreciate it. I'm going to attempt to do a Quentin Tarantino, There's Something About Tarantino stream tomorrow night, as long as, I feel up to it. I've kind of been going back and forth between feeling pretty decent and feeling kind of crappy. And then Wednesday, of course, TJ and I will be back with the first half of the season 2 Tales from the Dark Side episode breakdown. And then the following Wednesday, of course, we'll finish it off. And then I'm considering doing my dinner with De Palma. I think we've got a couple more, and then I will officially be done with all the De Palma movies. A lot of people have said they really respect me for going through all of these De Palma films, even the really, really bad ones. Rob says, "Oh man, Kelly says, thanks for the fun. Well, you're very welcome, Kelly. I enjoyed it. Oh, and coming up on Saturday, barring anything happening, I am planning on doing a watch along for Schizoid with Klaus Kinski. Saturday, probably at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then be on the lookout for the Eurocult podcast, where we'll be talking about Gestapo's last orgy. You won't get to hear it Sunday, but hopefully you'll get to hear it soon after. I just want to advertise that a little bit. Rob, you say I need to watch the Tarantino one, but we're recording something with Wes. Oh, that's okay. Are you doing is that the Sean Clark thing that's gonna be tomorrow? I want to watch that. I'll probably be, if I feel bad, I'll be resting. I might watch it as I rest if I don't do the Tarantino stream. Rob, you said, thanks for the stream. Great job tonight. Well, thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Texas. You say great stream as always, Dana. It is my pleasure to provide these streams for you guys, and I hope they are always at least marginally entertaining. That's tonight at 10. Gotcha. Okay. So, if there's something coming up at 10, I definitely want to get off here before that happens, in case people want to go on over for that. Rob, you say Kelly and I are reviewing Alice, Sweet Alice with him tomorrow for the podcast. Very, very awesome choice, guys, by the way. I love Alice, Sweet Alice. I can't say enough good things about that movie. So, with all that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. You guys have a good night now.